We're also in New York City. The prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, she's facing a second day of cross-examination by the defense attorney for Sean Diddy Combs, and there are no cameras allowed inside of that courtroom. But joining us now from outside of that courthouse in New York is Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft, who's been diligent in bringing us updates each hour. Kelly, what is the latest this hour?
Well, hi there, Julia and Ted. Everyone is just making their way back inside the courtroom for the start of proceedings after lunch. Our producer, Emanuela, actually was in the elevator when the lunch was being brought up to the floor here in the federal courthouse. And so she was able to kind of peek into the brown paper bags. And she said that she saw some sandwiches and some chips, and each one was labeled with the juror numbers. So the judge has only been giving them 30 minutes for lunch, so they have to be very efficient in eating their lunch. And so right away, they brought those sandwiches up in those brown paper bags. They had their lunch, and now we're back at it here in New York City. Some of the things, though, that were taking place right before the lunch break included information and testimony about the alleged rape. On direct examination, Cassie Ventura was talking about a time when Sean Combs raped her. Defense counsel was asking her about that, in particular about her communicating with him after that particular rape. She said that you testified on direct that you saw Sean Combs after that alleged rape by choice. And she said, yes. You still have feelings for him? She said, yes. You at this point do not hate him? And she said, no, I do not hate him. She said that she still had love for him when she was asked, because I have love for the past and what it was. Also, some other testimony that we can put up for you that took place before lunchtime was included, like the jury was hearing some more messages about Ventura and Combs' relationship. This was back in 2018. Also, they both say that they cannot wait to see one another. So that's just some more testimony talking about this consensual relationship that defense counsel wants to really make clear to the jury. According to their theory, during this time period, Ventura was already dating her now husband. Something else, Ted and Julia, that they talked about during that line of questioning was the fact that Cassie had seen Sean. This was after that alleged rape, and that she was dating Alex Fine, who is now her husband. She's expecting her third child from Alex Fine, and she was with Sean Combs. Alex was FaceTiming her. Again, they weren't married at the time, they were dating, and she was engaging in sexual intercourse with Sean Combs. He had FaceTimed her. This is Alex Fine, and she ignored that call. So that's some of the testimony that took place right before lunch.
It's definitely getting detailed inside of that courtroom. Kelly Craft, thank you for bringing us all of the latest there. Let's bring in our guests to discuss. We have National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer, who's been listening to all of these details. This is a RICO case. Michael Jaffer, sex trafficking, prostitution is what Sean Diddy Combs is accused of. How do you think it's going with Cassie on the stand?
I think, you know what, this is kind of like a Rorschach test. With her on the stand, I'm conflicted. When she began her testimony, I thought to myself, this is not going good for Sean Combs. And then, with the text messages, it's kind of like standing on a swaying ship, left and right. Right? If you pause it at any given moment, you ask me what's the direction, I'll tell you what the direction is at that time, but it shifts. At the end of the day, what I see is what I would expect, what I would imagine what the relationship would be, with the dynamic of a complete superstar, a person who's an aspiring superstar, and he was essentially had all the leverage. So I think it's trending against Sean Combs. What all they have to do is, they don't have the burden. The burden is on the federal government. So at this point, the text messages are sometimes they're bad for Sean Combs, sometimes they're good for Sean Combs. When we went to law school, we thought we were going to sit there and learn about laws, right? And we were going to open up a book and read elements. That wasn't the case. What we learned about was meaning of words, what words mean and how words are twisted. The operative word in this case is coercion. Was she coerced or was she not? It doesn't matter that they were dating. It doesn't matter that they were together for 10 years. All that matters is whether or not he coerced her. You could begin a consensual situation and then it could turn into coercion. A person can always back out. It could be consensual for 8 hours, and when 8 hours and 30 minutes come in, and the person tells you, I'm done, I'm out, and you coerce them, or you give them drugs, or you take away their ability to make an independent decision, then you've coerced them. So this trial that's why it's so raunchy, and that's why the government is diving into these very grotesque details, is because this is what the case is. It's not about the elements, right? They're not written in stone. A jury has to believe that he coerced Cassie Ventura to do things she didn't want to do. If they can convince that jury beyond a reasonable doubt, he's going to get convicted. He's facing minimum 15 years. If Sean Combs' case team can break it down, and now they're trying to break it down with Cassie Ventura, then at that point they'll get an acquittal. But this is a very, very disgusting fact pattern. But it has to be for the litigants for them to really get to the finish line.
What about the additional voices that the federal government is bringing into the fray? It's not just Cassie Ventura. If it was, then you could argue that, boy, she could make or break the case. And to some level she does, because she was she is the most important person there for the whole thing. But these other people are going to come in. We've already heard from one of these male escorts who kind of tell a very similar story of him in control, and then also just absolutely nasty in terms of physical abuse, et cetera, et cetera.
Very disgusting, very grotesque fact pattern. Obviously, it's going to be indicative. Like, that's not nothing, right? It's something very important. I agree with you, right? If any one person can say that those people are not going to be as important as Cassie, because those people came into a situation knowing what they're coming into, and they participated in it, and they witnessed it. They're witnesses to something that could have been coerced, could not have been coerced. I think obviously Cassie's role is the most central role, and she holds the power over Sean Combs' future more than they do. I mean, she had the civil suit, she settled the civil suit, but obviously those witnesses are important, because those witnesses are going to either verify what she's saying or not verify what she's saying. So they are important. No one's more important than Cassie.
Oh, that's for sure. I think a lot of people are wondering if there are more witnesses who could have come forward, didn't feel safe enough to come forward, but Cassie was one of those who did feel safe, and everyone is calling her brave for coming forward in the way that she has.